if we're calling a fight a possible fight of the night, you know you gotta tune in, and we have a Canadian out of Beloit, Quebec, Canada in Jourdain, and he's taking on one tough Argentinian in El Pitbull, Marcelo Rojo. And Matt, we went back and watched a ton of tape on Marcelo Rojo, and it was originally for his fight against Raoni Barcelos that didn't happen. I mean, Barcelos, it would have been a short notice replacement for Rojo coming in there. Barcelos out due to COVID. Rojo was holding out for UFC contract. He hasn't fought in some time. The last time we saw him in the octagon was a year and 4 months ago. But it wasn't an octagon, it was a cage, and it was circular with Combate. And Rojo got the biggest win of his career over Victor Madrigal. And if you go back and watch that fight, amazing. Full extension overhand right that knocks Madrigal back on the cage. Big win, but I went back and I looked at how good Victor Madrigal was or could have been, and some decent level of competition. So I throw a lot of credit Rojo's way. He's taking on the Canadian striker here, the southpaw that you know and love, in Charles Jourdain, a guy who was last time out he had a draw against Joshua Culibao. Before that, a loss by split decision to Andre Fili, the man himself. Before that, a knockout win over Doo Ho Choi in Korea. That was a huge win. And his debut was a loss up a weight class on somewhat a short notice to Des Green. It's going to happen. For Charles Jourdain, wrestling's his kryptonite. Desmond Green beat him. So you look at Jourdain, throws a whipping kick from the backside with his left leg. He throws a lot of spin attacks, great knees up the middle. I mean, what can I say? He's a great striker. For Marcelo Rojo, wow. This guy's a good striker. I think that the line on this is absolutely out to lunch. I think it's way too steep because for Marcelo Rojo, well, what does he do well? Some of the things that Charles does, I mean, he moves forward great. He pumps out the double jab. He whips out a nice leg kick. He throws good combinations. He's got a nice knee up the middle. And he does have a laser and dynamite right hand. And yes, he went full extension against Madrigal. But if you want to go back and watch some good fights, even in his fight against John Castaneda, who has a propensity to get backed up until he cracks. Look at the fight against Eddie Wineland. But in the fight, Rojo did a good job of whipping that cross out there. He was doing a good job. The straight right, the right cross, whatever he needs to do. Rojo is an all-action fighter. I love this matchup, Matt. Stylistically, it's great. But again, I have an issue with this line because I'm surprised it's so overwhelmingly Jourdain. I think there's still that residual shine off the Doo Ho Choi fight. Because in that Culibao fight, he was a huge favorite. He drew, but it was tight.
Listen, I think the line is where it should be. Let's be honest. Charles Jourdain should have beat Andre Fili, who I hold in very high regard. I think Andre Fili is that perfect. He's your 22nd best, but probably 22nd worst featherweight on the roster. He really is just kind of the average across the board. He's very good at everything, but he doesn't really excel at anything. And the fact that Jourdain, I understand it's a loss on his record by split decision, but he took the fight to Andre Fili in that one. He really put it after him. He was very aggressive in that fight, and he was able to drop Fili. So when you're talking about fight of the nights, I do think you have to look towards this fight. We're dealing with two very heavy-handed strikers who, I think we can say this very comfortably, neither one of them have very good striking defense. It's not difficult to find the chin of Charles Jourdain, and you can find the chin of Marcelo Rojo as well. The difference is Charles Jourdain has all those really good southpaw attacks, and that's going to be very important in this fight because Marcelo, although he is traditionally an orthodox fighter, he will get the southpaw look, and what I really like from Rojo is he uses his right hand kind of like he uses his left hand. He will still throw the double jab out of the southpaw position, but he won't stay in southpaw for a very long time. He really only switches stances to throw something, give his opponent a different look, and he's right back into orthodox. The issue with that orthodox stance is when you're facing a guy like Charles Jourdain, who does have that really nice power kick, he doesn't go to the head a lot with it. He loves sneaking it under that elbow and going to the body with it. And we've seen Rojo get hurt to the body before in his career. And the fact that Jourdain, he's really good with that body kick, but he's also great at using his calf kick to set up his punches later on in a fight. Now, you talk about the wrestling of Jourdain and the fact that it is his kryptonite. Wrestling's both guys' kryptonite, and that's what makes this a really, really fun fight because you're going to deal with the fast, lightning-fast striker of Rojo versus the more powerful Charles Jourdain. So it will be an interesting fight, and the real key to this fight for Rojo is he's going to have to move his feet. If he stands in the pocket with a guy like Charles Jourdain, we know how heavy his hands are. He's not afraid to go to the body. He's not afraid to go to the head. And I understand his last two performances, they might not be the most impressive, but both still show that if he catches as you clean on the chin, you are going to go down. So I am excited for this fight as I am for any other one.
If you go back and watch Charles Jourdain's last performance, he should have beaten Josh Culibao. I know there are people that were very, not upset, but very opinionated in the comment section after his fight. He was more than a 4-1 favorite to beat Culibao, and he scraped by with a majority draw. I mean, it was what? 30-27 for Jourdain, 29-28 Culibao, 28-28. It was a close fight. It was way too close of a fight than you'd like to see against a relatively unproven guy in Culibao. And listen, I get it. People in the comment section at the time, well, Culibao trains with Volkanovski. Cool. Marcelo Rojo is trained out of Gym Entram or Entram Gym with some of the best fighters in the world. Namely, Brandon Moreno is one of those guys that trains out of that gym. And for Rojo, he's been off for a while. Again, he was pining for a UFC opportunity. His last time out, they call it a catchweight bout, but his opponent weighed, 135 3/4? He weighed 139.2. So I think moving up to featherweight, not going to be a huge issue for him. Again, it's been a year and 4 months, so he's going to take whatever fight he can get. Originally, the Barcelos fight on short notice. Now you get Charles Jourdain. It's a tricky one. I mean, you look at Jourdain, out of all of his wins, they're all by finish, 7 by knockout, 3 by submission. For Rojo, 16 wins. He's got 8 by knockout, 6 by submission, 1 by DQ. When he fought Javier Orarzbal, it's a very difficult name to pronounce, but that was an illegal bite. So you can't bite your opponent. He won that one by DQ. But again, nice pressure, good right hand, good kicks. Listen, if you want to see a commentary team get excited about a nickname,
oh my goodness,
go watch his fight against John Castaneda. I think that's the most fun I've ever had watching a fight.
John el Sexy Mexi Castañeda.
But it's really tricky. And the other thing is, you look at Marcelo Rojo, and the way that Combate kind of pushed him, it was always as a jiu-jitsu fighter. He'll implement his submissions. He also has the celly of nightmares. I've never seen a guy T-Rex so creepily after fights.
La victoria de Marcelo Rojo.
It seems to be something that he picked up later on in his career, but it's straight up weird.
I like it a lot, I gotta be honest.
I don't ever need to see it, but again, I can't stress this enough. The confidence level in this pick's difficult because you look at Jourdain, he was a 4-1 favorite in a fight that he should have won. He did not perform all that great. He was in the States, he was living with his girlfriend, there were all sorts of things around it going into the fight. From what I've seen on the social medias, he's been training at a Brazilian top team in Quebec, so hopefully, again, background, familiar surroundings. You go down to the States, you come back, you do your 2 weeks of quarantine, and c'est la vie en français au Québec. But I do have a tough time because Rojo throws a lot of volume, he has a lot of power, and he can give Jourdain a lot of problems. Neither one of these guys has good wrestling defense. It's bad. That's why this is a fight of the night. So if we look at the Topology votes as a bit of a decider, 86% of 753 going with Jourdain, 56% by decision. You got 32% by knockout. The 14% that went Rojo, 42% by decision, 49% by knockout. Again, the odds on this fight, Matt, if we look on best fight odds, minus 225 for Jourdain open, minus 261 average right now. For Rojo, open a plus 190. He's roughly around a plus 208. There could be value in the Rojo. I have a tough time with one thing, and you mentioned it. When he's coming in from orthodox, his hands are either down a lot, where he's susceptible to a high kick, or he brings them up high when he's starting to close. Jourdain throws a lot of knees, he throws a lot of those kicks, and that body is wide open. And I think if he invests in them early, we've seen Jourdain, can he fight at a labored pace? It's kind of weird, but I think if he invests in the body early, he could get a win. I'm a little worried on this.
And Jourdain does have good cardio. I know he does fight at kind of a strange pace, but it's not like he falls off a cliff in the 3rd round by any means. And for a power puncher, we do see guys start to fade, but even go back to the Culibao fight, Jourdain's 3rd round is by far his best. He 10-8's Culibao in that. So I do think that Charles Jourdain is going to win this fight. I like the body shots, and I like his counter left hand too. For Rojo, he's going to have to out-volume Jourdain to win this fight. I don't think he can stand in the pocket and try to sit down on a shot, because every second he is trying to plant his feet and throw with power, he's going to be met with power, and I don't think that's a game he's going to win in this. So I like Jourdain. I don't know if he's going to win by stoppage, but I do think this is absolutely fight of the night. You don't have two guys that only have one decision win between the two of them not fighting to a fight of the night.
Matt, we had so much fun going back and watching Rojo's tape on this one. I have to tell you about a fun fight. You come back to Fight Night Picks, you like, you subscribe, you do what you need to do. The Jesse Strader fight, listen, 3-0 fighter. It was 2 years ago, so you don't love that. It's a little sketchy on the record. Holy smokes, those guys threw down. They went right straight to the body and then right back up to the head with knees. It was amazing. It's an awesome one to go back and see. But an all-action pairing, I'm ever so slightly going with the Canadian in this one, but I don't have a ton of confidence in it. You're going with Quebec Charles Jourdain as well, so on va voir ce qui se passe, but we'll see. We're both going with Jourdain this one. Really looking forward to the fight. It should be a great one. An awesome card headlined by the man himself, Bilal Muhammad. 13 fighting, 3's taking on Leon Edwards. Keep it locked in with Fight Night Picks, Matt, as we always say.
Let's get into it.